yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the Becky thing, because I don't know, it's kind of crazy. I think it's for real. I think she really quit for good, and I think there's a big opportunity here, but I don't know, it's kind of crazy.
Opportunity, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, now that there's 4 or 5 Voldemorts who are all girls, who are all kind of supposed to be part of a show about girls, is kind of interesting.
Are the others
You know what I mean?
Voldemorted too?
Hmm?
Are the others Voldemorted too?
Well, you're a Voldemort?
Well,
I'm a
me and
Voldemort?
you, yeah.
Huh?
I said I know there's me and you, but
Yeah, and then there's Savage and Becky and now Roxy. That's 5.
okay, that explains
And,
why Roxy added me.
You what? I'm sorry, my mic cut you off. What'd you say?
I said that explains why Roxy added me.
Yeah. And I mean Ruby, if you wanted to consider Ruby, she's not really a Voldemort, but kind of she's on the outset at the very least. And she's known by them.
Did you watch the stream last night that Becky did?
I did, yeah. What did you think? I thought
I didn't watch
made
it. I don't keep up with this stuff anymore.
Well, she did this weird thing where she said that, she titled her stream "Tell All," and then she said, "Okay, guys, what I'm doing is I'm telling you all about my plans for the future, and I'm not going to talk about the LCU." So it's kind of like a joke or like a lie. It's kind of weird.
Clickbait, 100%.
Yeah, and I think it's just risky to clickbait right when you leave. But I do think it's real because she has she has a paid Discord now and stuff. I don't think she would set all that up if she was just gonna go crawling back. You know what I mean? I doubt it.
I don't think she would add me on Discord if she's gonna go back either.
Yeah. Right. Although I thought you guys kept in contact. You didn't?
Nope. Not after after that phone call with Keem. He went ballistic. So.
Oh, okay.
Linx, can I ask you a question? I know that we've had our issues, but can I just ask you a question?
What's up?
Okay. You know Becky certainly better than me, and probably way better than Grace. Okay. So you know how she said this thing like, there's the Becky you see fighting with Gina, and then there's the real Becky who's understands, what is it? You know, like is not narcissistic and a brat and all that stuff.
Right.
So, just from what you know, do you think that's true? That she was just putting it all on to act like in the moment because it was appropriate with Tina? Because what else are you going to do with Tina? Or do you think like it's kind of somewhere in between the two? Because that's my suspicion. It's somewhat in between the two. That maybe it leans into the like hysterical, crazy, but that like her house really is a mess. It's not.
When we were friends, she was not like that at all. I feel like she saw an opportunity to get clout and went in for it, and
Okay.
I think.
Okay, so you're like kind of off screen. She was pretty mature.
Off screen, she was fine until we started working, and then even when it was off screen drama, she would still be insane off screen, even though like it wasn't for content. She definitely changed. I do believe that her house is like that because she did tell me when we were friends that she lives like that.
Right, and she really did accuse Richie. It wasn't like he wasn't in on it. It wasn't scripted. Like
correct. Yes.
She's that kind of person who would make those allegations.
Yeah.
Correct.
That was real.
So
that was
I would
real.
see her as a Jekyll Hyde. In other words, both of them are really her. But
both of them are her, but one has an excuse behind Keem and one doesn't.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, so when she did her stream, she was like, okay, this is like not Becky Lolcow. This is like fun, happy, mature Becky.
Yep.
Okay, which just on a like entertainment level is weird because you're asking your audience to do two things. First, to come with you when you know that they're, by doing that, taking a chance of getting excluded from Lol Cow universe, right?
Correct.
That's the Voldemort thing. Like, you'd have to be a fool not to think you're asking a lot of your audience, right? Every single name there could very well be banned today.
Yep.
But on top of that, you're not going to give them what you know they're looking for, which is you ranting and raving about Keem.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to give them, hey, let's put the past behind us, and I've got a great new personality and show here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not everyone's going to
And
want to go
a
for
lot to
that.
ask of your audience, and it's a really stupid move. Even if you were to do that, start with the screaming and yelling, because it doesn't matter with Keem. He's not going to be nice to you if you go easy on him.
Nope.
It doesn't matter with him, right? So, okay, so you kind of agree with me there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's very weird, the whole situation. And I definitely think that she should have chose her cards more wisely, because after this happened, people don't want to tune into the stream to see Nice Becky. They want to tune in.
I don't remember the last time I talked about links. I'm pretty sure it's been like a month or two at the most. But the reason why I'm bringing this whole up now is there was a conversation between Lynx and Grace on Lynx's personal Twitch channel where she's at now. Now, I do watch her streams quite a bit. I do enjoy her painting stuff, especially when I'm doing my little artsy stuff or I'm playing some game. It's a good comfort sound, you know what I mean? Good white noise. But Grace decided to jump on Wednesday, because the day before, Tuesday, there was a video. Becky had her first stream, and Grace wanted to know what Lynx thought of it, and Lynx completely says she doesn't keep up with any of that stuff at all. Mostly because after the whole stuff dealing with the whole heap of stuff related to the LCU, Keemstar, and everything, she does not want any more involvement of that, right? And especially with Becky doing it. Now, Becky did mention people like Lynx and Grace about this stuff, and she straight up said that both Lynx and Grace have very much troublesome communities. In the case of Lynx, that's not really the case at all, but in the case of Grace, that is very true. The troublesome element that were in Lynx servers are more or less gone for the most part, but also were never really there to begin with. They were just kind of put on there. But again, and Grace asks, Lynx about what is Becky's life, both who's the true Becky, and Lynx more or less said both of them, but mostly kind of a little bit more toward the manic side is more true. And that is very true, given that Lynx had leaked some stuff related to Becky early on, how manic she can be, like very, very controlling to the point where she would downright sabotage the show. And throughout their conversation, you can tell that Ben is hyper analyzing this, but at the same time is trying to convince Link to join them, which obviously no.
To see angry Becky complaining about what happened.
Exactly.
Right.
And now she's planning. Okay, so this is like her new plan.
Can I just give Lynx just?
Good.
I don't think she's aware of this. In just a spontaneous way, after Savage became a Voldemort, Ruby happened to get her on a stream with Ava, who I think you're aware of.
Uh-huh.
And then Grace was allowed to come on the stream, and so the four of them shit-talked each other like crazy. And it was better than any episode of Queens. And everyone independently said, like, oh yeah, okay, that. In other words, they didn't plan that, but it was better than anything that Queens is doing. And if you're added to the mix, and Becky's added to the mix, all the more. Like, the Voldemorts are the best quality people.
Right.
And Keem can't stand quality people because they have some sense of dignity.
Yeah.
But Mo, I appreciate the offer. Anything like that, I'm out. I'm not interested.
Well, no one's asking you anything.
I know, I'm just stating it for my stream and for you, just to make sure you're aware.
Okay.
But you don't disagree with the idea, even if you weren't involved. Like,
No, I think it's a good idea because the people who kick...
Smart idea.
Yeah, the people who are kicked for the entertainment.
I added your name to it? Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. You're saying that if you were able to get a lot of clout and a lot of money doing what you were doing without all the bullshit from Keem, you would turn that down?
Correct, yes.
For psychological reasons?
Just don't want to do it. Not interested.
Okay. But would it be okay to say, like, I don't believe that?
You cannot believe it. I'm just telling you where I stand, and I just wouldn't be interested. I do think it's a good idea for the rest of y'all to get together, because he kicked the entertainment of the shows, and you guys would be way better on your own without him. I agree with that. I'm just not interested in being involved in the mix. That's all.
Sure, yeah. No problem. But I just would politely say that I don't think that's quite true. But that's okay. We can just differ.
But Becky's plan right now is to have like a good time, like Golden Girls kind of show with Roxy.
Wait, can I just say to Links? This is like excluding you from it. I'm saying that those four, Ruby, Ava, Grace, and Savage, going at it to a much smaller audience, granted, was more what Lol Cow Queens should be than what Lol Cow Queens has been, even with Becky, let alone with just Tina.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You would agree with that? You'd say it's like that should head to head like eventually win.
Correct.
If you can keep it together, that's better entertainment. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll dip.
I'm just looking at this and I'm just saying like Becky is like this thing with Roxy, right? You know Roxy.
I know of her. I haven't really been keeping up with the stuff, but I know who she is.
She's like a nice middle-aged woman. Like she's a nurse or whatever.
Right.
The idea that her and Becky are going to compete with Lol Cow Queens, I don't know. I guess I hate to see it happen again where it's like somebody else breaks out and it just, you watch the numbers, it's already happening. You watch it go from 1,100 to 700 to 500 to 400 and Keem's just laughing the whole time. It just seems like, I don't know. I'm asking for your business perspective because I honestly want to make money off of this. That's what I want to do. I want to make some money off of this and
get clout.
And whether you're involved or not, like,
well,
Becky is just being stupid.
Links might not know this, but Becky is proposing the BBU, the Becky Boop universe, to like compete with Keem's universe.
Yeah.
Do you think she has what it takes to like sort of be a replacement of Keem?
I'm not sure. I think that Becky's good at being entertaining, but I think eventually she's going to need a show host runner if she's really going in on this full time like she was on Queens.
A what? A show host runner?
Yeah, like she needs someone...
Like a co-host? Or?
Yeah, she needs people on screen with her. I don't think she'd be able to do it just her for long enough.
How about her and Roxy? You don't know Roxy.
Roxy's okay.
Well, Roxy is like less interesting than Psycho Mom. I mean, that's not a winner combo, frankly. She's perfectly nice, but
so you respect Becky as an entertainer?
Correct.
I think we do too. Savage Live, I think a little less, but like I respect Savage Live as an entertainer. And I think
I saw that this was very interesting because even as early on, mind this is all happening around like Wednesday in the afternoon, that even even Grace was already calling the shot that the numbers were going to drop prior to the release of the second or the first true stream of the Supreme Queens. And you gotta enjoy how, like, straight up that linx was like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. And, like, Ben was like, well, nobody's asking you. You could tell that linx already knew that they were going to try to convince linx to kind of get involved, but she was like, no. Now, back to the whole number thing and how that has been going again. We're already seeing the number. Now, I do plan on doing a sort of video on the overall numbers probably in a week or two, and to see where they're at now, where they are going, their general revenue and everything. But yeah, the numbers have already been dropping steadily lower and lower and lower. Even if they could even try to get a, increase the number, it will not be for that long.
Ruby is actually would be up there in that echelon, entertaining, but less manageable. So
I think you should get together with them.
Getting those people.
Has Becky reached out to you guys?
Yeah, I mean, she did DM me on Twitter and said, like, she was, like, thinking about getting all the people who've been kicked out of the LCU back together. But it was just one DM. And then I saw her first stream, and I can just tell there's lack of security. Like, she's not in charge of it the way she thinks she is.
Well, Grace, you know how this goes, and I think linx to some extent knows how this goes. If Becky chose to go 8 o'clock yesterday, right?
She did.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she knows she's going head to head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Linx, do you want to guess what her numbers were and compared to the queens?
I heard that they were better, that she was getting more donations. I didn't watch the stream though, but that's what I heard.
She did get more memberships than them.
Yeah, but her numbers were between 600 and like 1100, which is great. Where Lal Cow was like
2.5K.
2.5, 2.4.
Yeah.
But what would your guess be that they would be tonight?
If she went live tonight?
Yeah,
Obvious.
given that she did this nice Becky thing and had kind of didn't follow up on her, she didn't do the going hard Akeem thing.
It's probably not going to be as much because, I mean, I hate to
Right.
say it, but the people love the drama. And you
Right.
kind of only have one chance for people to be interested to tune in. So if you don't give them what
Exactly.
they want on the first try, that's it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I would say time is of the essence. You've got about a week. In a week, I would think she would be in the 300 to 400 range, and probably would be able to hold that. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah.
Like, she'd become like RTU.
I think she'd end up in the wings category. I think it'd be less than RTU, which
Less
wings
than
is
RTU.
less than RTU, because Wings is kind of a laid back guy, and RTU is more of a drama queen. Like,
He's got a lot of lore.
he's got a lot of lore, and he's really deluded and crazy. And Becky seems to be going for like, hey, I'm not that girl. I'm normal.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily true either. She's
do you
definitely
mean?
not normal.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. It doesn't even matter whether it's true or not. Like, I agree with you, but like, that's not what people are tuning in for.
Yeah, they want the drama.
Regard-
That's what they want. And when you're not giving it to them, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah. And I guess I just have to say, I don't really understand how she could not understand
What does she
that.
bring if she isn't bringing the drama?
I agree.
Like,
Yeah.
she's not really super hot, no offense, but like, she's not going to get gooners.
Not really.
And anyways, her audience isn't that, she'd have to change audiences completely to be,
Yeah, that's
she's not even really
not
doing
the
that.
Locale Live audience either, so.
Yeah. So she agrees it's a mistake.
But you don't think there's anything that can be done? I mean, I'm just saying from a business perspective. I'm not saying you have to be involved. I'm just saying, like, I would hate to see this just go the same way as everything else.
Like I said,
And
I
do
would
think
suggest
everybody
y'all
else
do
would-
make a
yeah.
show. I would suggest y'all do make a show. If it were me, in Becky's shoes, I would get everyone who's ever been kicked off LCU involved, and I would get them all to share their side and just straight up
But wouldn't you think it would be good to like kind of say to them, and if you start talking shit at each other, so much the better, right? Talk shit about Keem and then start talking shit about each other, right?
I mean, I guess, yeah, if you're looking for entertainment.
Bring the heat. If you want to keep that audience, don't be nicey.
Yeah, but you understand what Becky's issue is. She thinks that if she gets the LCU people together, right, that we're all gonna bitch about Keemstar and then we're gonna run out of material. Isn't that her basic like fear? Don't you think?
Probably, yeah.
But that could be avoided because everybody who's like, you start out with the Keem stuff, but then you can move on to just internal stuff. You know what I mean? Like, she knows how to do that. She comes up with endless problems she has with Tina that she doesn't actually care about every day.
Well, and it doesn't just have to be Keem. It can be other people in the LCU too. Because a lot of people have issues with Xylee and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, she's gonna do what she's gonna do. The best option here, though, is to get other people involved and to just come all out with it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Completely agree with you.
Yeah.
It's just hard to. I guess it's hard for me to do because she doesn't really trust me. She doesn't really know me, and I don't blame her for that. But I don't think I'm wrong just because it's me who has this idea. I don't think I'm wrong, but I sent her a thumbnail with like, like we're back or whatever, and all the exiled LCU people. Whoa, sorry. And it's not much of a response. It's not going to go anywhere with her and Roxy. I don't see it going anywhere, but.
Okay, but say there was a big creator equivalent to Keem's size.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be like, what, Ethan Klein or something, let's say? Or Sam Hyde? Who was going to say, like, I'll use my name to promote this. They don't line up in a second, right? People will be falling all over them. And I'm going to treat you right. You can keep your channels. Like, I'm going to be, like, what you all wish Keemstar would be.
Wait, you mean if somebody, like, swooped in for the exiled Voldemorts or
Yeah,
whatever?
I'm just saying. If
Sure.
someone said, like, hey, Grace, leaving out links. Hey, Savage. Hey, Becky. Hey, Roxy. Hey, Ruby. Would you want to come on a channel? It's called whatever. Stream Queens.
Sure.
And we're going to go head to head with Keemstar.
Yeah.
And really just Tina at this point in that sad little show. And we're going to pull his audience over because we're going to deliver a way better product.
Yeah. They would line up, yeah.
Everyone would line up.
Yeah.
And it would be successful. And that person wouldn't even necessarily have to micromanage the show. It would just be off to the races. And
They make a good point that what people really want from this new network is the Keem stuff, the juicy stuff about Keem, but people are not getting that. And it's true. People are not sticking around. As we saw with the numbers already, they are dropping, they are plummeting, right? And at some point, you have to eventually cut your loss. Now, again, you can tell that Ben is still a little upset with, links and everything and how that's going. But, and how they were bringing up with it, Grace brought up how she wants to have a show with Becky, Savage, Grace, and Link, and believe it or not, Grace made a little like thumbnail and everything about it, and she even showed it to Becky, and for what I understand, Becky didn't really respond to it. So you could kind of tell that Becky still doesn't want to be involved with any of them, and if one person is not going to be in, and if the other person is already more or less excluded off the bat, this isn't going anywhere. Yes, I do know that they did eventually redirect to Savage, but the whole thing about Savage was just her going after Xylee, which isn't really that hard. And I think I'll make my point here and now about that particular stream. If you're into Savage, go ahead. I don't really care much for Savage. I just felt that whole stream was just a petty woman being rightfully angry at Xylee. But the thing is, when you're going toe to toe with Xylee, is that here's the thing: you may not like Xylee, but Xylee is capable of always having her info right, and she knows how to make people believe her info is right. Savage kind of can't do that. And even if Savage brings up all these things, it doesn't matter. Because against somebody like Xylee, who has been doing it a lot longer, and obviously when you're dealing with those commentary communities and everything, regardless they lie or not, they know their shit. They know how to have records on hand. They also know how to manipulate it to their advantage.
And I think it would take like 2 days to pull the whole audience, and people wouldn't fucking care about getting banned from LCU. Except the most devoted Tina and Angry Grandpa fans, which
Yeah.
I think is a small number of people.
So maybe we need to find somebody who has that charisma.
Well, I'm curious as to whether Linx thinks that's true.
If you find someone like Ethan Klein or Sam Hyde, yeah, absolutely.
Like, the people wouldn't have a problem doing it
No,
if
I
it
don't think
was
so.
just basic, even though you'd have to start it from scratch.
Yeah,
there
no, I
was
don't
that.
think so. I think they'd turn over in a heartbeat.
Yeah, okay. I agree. See, Linx, we think alike. That's a problem.
We're watching your stream and just saw your facial reaction.
Good. I'm glad.
Well, you made your thing clear that, like, just so you know, as it stands, I'm not interested. But let me make our, is this
That's just an ad.
going? If you want to come on our thing, you have got to get rid of all the pornography.
I don't want to come on your thing. Thanks, I'm good.
Okay, if. You got to get rid of all the pornography.
No thanks. I'm
And,
okay.
yeah, okay, so, yeah, but it's fair enough, right? Because I don't think you should be doing that stuff.
Well,
but-
you're not my dad, so...
I'm not, but I just said if that would be the deal. Fair enough, right?
So is there anything else you guys want to talk about, or are we done here?
Yes. Why are you so rude and angry?
How am I rude and angry? I think the conversation's pretty much done. If you guys talk in VC chat, yes, they can hear you.
It seems like you're a little bit sad.
Pardon me?
Is somebody else talking? I barely heard that.
I think
Hello?
they're-
Well, anyways,
I think
I
they're
don't
just
mean that.
asking.
I just want you to know, I think you probably took that the wrong way. I don't mean that in the sense that I think that you did any of those things, in and of yourself. I don't think you would have done those things except for circumstances and the fucking internet guiding you in that direction. So, please don't take offense that way. But I also, let's see, what was I going to say? I don't know what I was going to say. I have a lot of respect for you, and we do think alike, whether you like it or not. So I do. I respect myself, and so I respect you in the sense that you see things very clearly in a certain way.
Yeah.
Does you feel happy?
Is the glazing working, Linx? Are you softening up? Oh, sorry. Not to refer to the donut thing.
I
I
think the
wasn't
statue
making
is
an
very
elaborate
good. I think
joke.
that's an A+ statue.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question about that? Just a curiosity, because we've been looking into legal stuff, as you know, as far as Keemstar goes. Does that run into legal problems selling that? Because
Nope, not unless you make a certain amount a year, and as long as I'm...
no, not for you that way. I mean, in terms of copyright.
Nope, again, not unless I'm making a certain amount a year.
Oh.
I'd have to be selling millions of these, plus half of these I just give away,
For
so...
them here. Yeah, okay, yeah. No, I understand that. But you couldn't really have those in a store without paying, who is it, Marvel?
Yeah.
DC comics.
But
Something like that.
you're small enough that it doesn't matter. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I agree. I wouldn't worry about it. Grace,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
should we let Links go?
she agrees with us. I don't know. I just was wondering if maybe somehow what Becky was doing made sense to her, but
No, and I also want to say, Links, I think that's
I would
terrible,
say.
the stuff that happened to you. That was the other thing I wanted to say. I think that's terrible, that stuff that happened to you from your boyfriend, from Keem, and all the rest. And if you ever did want to join us, regardless of the entertainment thing in this legal suit, I think you would be able to clean up big time, and you should. But I understand that you don't think you have a legal case, or don't want to pursue it.
yeah. But it was awful what happened to you.
Yeah.
And no, we're not saying
Serious.
that to gas you up to join us. Just
Serious.
it did suck. So
Well, I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
well, it was nice talking to you again.
Yeah, you guys have a good day.
I'll try manipulating you
Take
some
care,
other
Lex.
time. Bye.
At least
Bye.
you're honest about it. At least you're honest.
No, I mean I was interested, but I
People
was
always
also
work other people's
yeah.
life. Yeah.
I was wondering because you were open to rejects when I had it, so I was wondering if you were open again. But I got my answer, so.
No.
All right.
Doors shut for now. On both sides.
Bye, Links.
Bye.
Well, that was something.
That was something.
That was something indeed. Was that Ken? Hmm? Was that Ken?
I mean, throughout this whole conversation, there was an attempt by Ben to manipulate, or at least try to convince Grace to join up with them and everything. Which didn't work out, and I think Link just knew right off the bat about what their motive was. Now, do I think that Grace Link's ever going to join up with them? No. Do I think the Dwarves are going to join up with them? Less likely, and a day goes on, and given how the Dwarves already felt about their first Lookout Supreme, Lookout Supreme, I think that's what they call it. Who cares? Queen Supreme or whatever, right? Was there some really terrible names that I think about it now? There's not a lot of good names out there. Huh. All the good names have already been used up. But my point is that this sort of dream team is not going to happen anytime soon. It is just not going to happen. And I think as we're seeing this, it won't happen anytime soon. And as the numbers are showing and the way the Dwarves reacted to Becky's stream, they didn't even watch it completely through the last time I checked when I was watching the Dwarf stream covering the Becky stuff. They were just disinterested, and they were just like, okay, yep, numbers are dropping, we're just gonna move on. You know it's bad when the Dwarves find it bad to watch. But till next time, God bless.